I literally love my job. A practice where I basically did everything that focused on hair. I think just learning the business of medicine. I wish that I would have taken a course, especially like people management. The running joke in my office is when somebody has a problem, like, I want to speak to HR, I'll be like, yes, can I help you? I am every woman. How can I help you today? When I go to work every day, I look forward to it. I'm so happy. I'm friends with so many wonderful derms. Why wouldn't I refer them? And I know they do phenomenal work that I would go to them myself. So why would I keep that to myself? It just so happened that I put it on a website, but any of us could have done that, right?
Do you want to wake up every day excited and in love with the work that you do at your private practice? Do you want to dash out of bed in the morning and skip to work? Well, if so, this interview is for you. Dr. Achiamah Osei-Tutu gave us her happiness framework, and she introduced us to a concept called normalizing underachievement. Make sure you watch to the end. You are going to love this video. Let's get started. Welcome to Derm Biz. I am excited for us to have the discussion that we're going to have with our guest today. I'll read her bio, then we'll introduce her and we'll get started. Dr. Achiamah Osei-Tutu is a board-certified dermatologist specializing in hair restoration, aesthetic, medical, and surgical skincare. After graduating from Birmingham University with a degree in biology, Dr. Osei-Tutu received her medical degree from Stony Brook University School of Medicine. During medical school, she had the unique honor of being chosen as a Howard Hughes Medical Institute / National Institute of Health Research Scholar. Dr. Osei-Tutu completed her medical internship at Mount Sinai Hospital and dermatology residency at the SUNY Health Science Center, Brooklyn, where she was selected chief resident in her final year. Although she is well experienced in all aspects of dermatology, she has had the extensive additional training in hair loss disorders and hair restoration. She has also been devoted to hair loss education, speaking at hair shows, putting together hair loss educational symposia, and partnering with stylists in New York. She also has a special interest in skin of color and the specific issues that affect melanin-rich skin. She has authored / co-authored a number of academic publications. Dr. Osei-Tutu is sensitive to issues of multi-ethnic skin and is committed to providing her patients with personalized care, and is also the founder of Black Derm Directory, a website that helps people find dermatologists that specialize in skin and color all across the United States. And we have her here today. Welcome, Dr. Osei-Tutu.
Welcome. We're happy to have you. And you look beautiful
Thank
as
you.
always.
It's so good to see you. It's been a minute.
Yes, it's been a while.
Yes. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us. We're going to start off. I like to start off asking the question of why dermatology? You know, as a dermatologist, the fact that you are a dermatologist, it means that you probably could have did almost any specialty that you wanted.
Absolutely.
And so what made you choose to focus on dermatology?
Well, I've always had a special interest in actually immunology. And so when I was in medical school, I did the Howard Hughes research year, and actually was looking to work in Dr. Fauci's lab. Yep, I did, because I was interested in HIV medicine. A couple years before I entered medical school, I spent some time in Ghana at an HIV clinic and was sort of motivated and inspired by that. So anyway, I ended up in a lab that was looking up, that was doing pediatric sarcomas, and they were doing immunotherapy for those sarcomas. And some of those initial studies were done in dermatology. So I ended up going to the derm clinic associated with Howard Hughes, and I was like, oh, no, this is it. It was, fascinating, interesting. And so when I went back to medical school, my third year, I think my first rotation back was family medicine. And the person who came in was like, what is this guy so happy about? Like the rest of the doctors, they do not look so happy. What's he so happy about? He's like, I'm a dermatologist. I was like, oh yes, I remember that. So I think on top of that, he also inspired. He was like so happy. And he just said he loved his job. He loved what he did. He was able to do a number of different things, including, seeing kids and adults and doing procedures. So I was sold.
So what's interesting about Dr. Osei-Tutu is she started her practice 1 year after finishing residency. This is very unusual. Most people want to get some experience working for other people. She immediately started with her own private practice. She obviously was very confident, and we wanted to figure out what gave her that confidence. She also explains that she had parents who were on their own private practice who gave her a vision of what that looked like, and she knew personality wise that she had an independent spirit and wanted to operate her own practice and kind of design her own day. Take a listen to this.
Both of my parents are physicians, and my mom, has a pediatric practice in Brooklyn, and so it was always a given that I was going to start a private practice. Even when I started
Mm,
working with, I was working for several doctors at the time, and one of the doctors, I was like, I'm only going to be here for a year. I'm just like here to basically just save money. And he was like, starting a private practice is stupid. Don't do it. Like,
mm,
just stay here, work. But it was always a transition for me to get my own stuff. So yeah,
Was that
that,
because
mm,
back then, I mean, first of all, having your own private practice in Durham was not really like a big thing. Did you face any challenges of people telling you not to do it, even other derms?
no, I mean, I feel like I'm good for just listening to myself. I like to do my own thing. I don't, how can I say this nicely? I don't really like people telling me what to do, right? So I
mm,
feel like working on somebody's schedule can be a bit challenging. So if I want to get up and go, I don't want anybody telling me that I can't do that. And so private practice was an absolute must. And then besides that, like I'm being funny, but really seeing patients the way that I want to see them, adding procedures the way that I want to. I did also notice that the other doctors, I like to talk, I like to get to know people. And sometimes there are pressures, right, to see patients quickly.
Yep.
And obviously, if you work for people, not only do you have to make money for yourself, but you have to make money for your practice. So that means
Hmm.
that you
mm.
have to see a number of more people in order to really meet particular quotas. And I just was never good at that. I was never like fast at seeing patients. So the whole model of me working for somebody was just not going to work.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. And love, please jump in and ask questions when you need to, because I don't want to take over this interview, but I have a
It's a bit
thousand things I
harder
want to
when
ask
you
her.
know the person.
That's right.
So it's like sometimes
Yeah,
asking
She
questions that
knows
you kind of
everything
have the
already.
answer
Yes.
to.
yeah. After
So
she gets done answering the question, I kind of pause because I'm giving you the chance to ask the question because I'm like, bam, bam, bam. I got so much stuff I want
No,
to ask.
all good. All good.
Um,
no, I was gonna
so
ask her, did your parents give you any like advice, or did you feel like running a private practice in their field of medicine, is it any similar to just running a private practice in Durham, or are there certain things
mm.
that's different?
And again, what's so cool is because Dr. Osei-Tutu had a mom who also was a doctor, who also ran her own private practice, she was able to give her some sage advice. Listen to this.
Yeah, I think the main thing that my mom told me was just to be a good doctor.
Mm,
That's what
It's
she
that
said. She said, be a
simple.
good doctor and follow up with patients, follow up with labs, and just do right by people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
main
mm,
thing that she said. I think when you're talking about African immigrants,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they know a lot of the nuances of being a perfect business owner,
Mm.
right?
mm,
They're good at what they do. They've been trained like really excellently clinically. They have great clinical skills, but the business part may be slightly lacking. Although my
Yep.
mom had a successful pediatric practice for, I don't know, maybe 30 years. Actually, my mom is still
Mm-hmm.
working. 40 years.
mm,
She doesn't want to give it up.
mm,
But derm is very different than pediatrics. She gave me a few tips about staff that didn't work out so well. But anyway, that's a story for maybe today, but a different day. But just I think just focus on like being good at what I do, like educationally. Just really knowing
Mm-hmm.
my stuff, being a good clinician, and then following up with patients. That was her main thing.
So when you started, what were some of your challenges that, because, going through a dermatology residency, we don't learn the business of medicine, and a lot of it
No.
is learning on the job,
Right.
unfortunately. So
Yeah.
what were some of your early challenges compared to like what you face now?
But one thing I appreciate about Dr. Osei-Tutu is she opened up and was vulnerable and shared some of the challenges that she's had being a private practice owner. Take a listen.
Well, I mean, I think just learning the business of medicine, I wish that I would have, maybe taken a course, or especially like people management. I feel like I've just not been great at people management. And, you always start out nice. And
I don't think anyone is. Sorry.
yeah, no, I'll
We
leave it at
know,
that.
we know.
Yeah, we know, right? So you start out nice, and then things shape you. Let's just put it that way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I wish I at certain points, I feel like I wish I would have been a better leader in my office. And just like in the beginning, how to get patients, how to figure out what you're going to focus on. So those were some of the challenges that I faced. But really, the business of medicine and people management.
Yeah, it's interesting you said what to focus on, because after years of doing this, and as you know, you realize that you have to do things that bring you joy. Like, not
That's right,
everything in your scope of practice brings you joy.
100%.
And as you get into it, you realize, like, I just want to be happy. Like, I don't,
Exactly.
there's certain things I don't want to see, unfortunately.
Exactly. Absolutely.
you
Yes.
know?
100%.
So,
So let's dig into that. What you guys just said. What are the things? Because here's me. I'm running payroll and doing interviews, and I'm doing all of the non-derm stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm doing the generic business things. As doctors, what are the things that give you guys joy? What are the things that take away from that joy?
Hmm.
Dr. Osei-Tutu, you go ahead.
Because I think that's a very important thing to dig into, because when we start talking about burnout
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the ability to be able to do something for a long time, oftentimes it's the joyless activities that create that situation. So
Yeah.
Dr. Osei-Tutu has this incredible happiness framework where she explains how she reverse engineered how she wanted her day to go, how she reverse engineered what services to provide, how she reverse engineered how many hours to work, what schedule to work, how much money she needs to make. This is incredible. Take a listen.
I mean, I had a talk with myself, as I usually do, and said, "Hey, Achiamah, what are we doing right now? What first of all, how much money do you need to make
Hmm.
really
Hmm.
in order to
mm,
be happy in whatever
mm,
way that I have designed that to be happy, right?"
mm,
Then I just kind of worked my way backwards. I don't
mm,
need, A, B, C, and D to be happy. Because if you have A, B, C, and D, that means that you have to work a lot more, or do this or do that. And I was actually not willing to do that. So once
mm,
I decided what was going to make me happy, like a roundabout number,
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm,
and the time that I was willing to use to do that, that was the first thing. Then I decided what were the subject matters that I was super passionate about, that when I was reading about it, I was like, no, 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 I need to know more. I need to know more. I was reading around it. I was going, I would want to go to conferences. That was the second thing. So
mm,
when I combined those things together, I ended up with a practice that did not take insurance, a practice that saw less patients, a practice where I
mm,
basically did everything, and
mm,
that focused on hair.
Hmm.
mm. So you reverse engineered it. You started off by saying, "What is going to give me peace? What is going to
That's
give
right.
me joy?"
That's right.
And then you bet. Wow,
How long did it
that's the
take you
first.
to get to that point?
Well, I think I started off like everybody.
Yeah.
I had, a little bit of a bigger office. I had like 6 or 7 employees in that one office, and, I was seeing 30, 40 patients a day.
What I love about Dr. Osei-Tutu is her clarity. She knows exactly what she wants and she know what brings her joy. Listen to this clip and figure out how you can maybe take some of the things that she's saying and apply it to your practice so you can get that clarity and find your joy if you don't already have it.
I was like, what is this for? Like, if I'm going to practice medicine like this, I'm just not going to do this. Like, it's not, I didn't feel like for me, I was benefiting people properly,
Mm.
And also, as I started getting into hair loss, those visits, they take a long time,
Yep.
right? So in order to really talk to people and really figure out like what's going on, and hair loss is not hair loss. We're talking a very, very not nuanced topic that has to do with self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
internal
Mm.
health. Like there's a lot of psychology and psychiatry associated with it. So I can't do that within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And as I moved towards more procedures in hair loss, that also required me to take more time. So that was that sort of educational part. And then of course I just loved learning about it. And, inspired by the fact that I have, one sister, she's my cousin, but I can, in Africa we
Mm-hmm.
consider everybody to be, but she actually is
Absolutely.
is a sister. She developed very severe, CCCA that I was kind of chasing it. I would learn, and every time I learned something more, her CCCA would get worse. I mean, because she wasn't really with me. So I was learning the information really in an effort to treat her. And by that
Mm-hmm.
time I did everything. I learned transplants, I learned everything. It was too late. She had like stage 5
Mm-hmm.
burnt out CCCA. But she was a real inspiration for me, like trying to learn about hair loss.
What's special about what Dr. Osei-Tutu has done is she has designed her perfect job. She has created a business in such a way that she can work in a fashion that works best for her. Take a listen to this.
And then the practice stuff, I just was not happy after a while. I was like, I like doing procedures by myself. This like people management is sort of not my forte. So let
Mm-hmm.
me just do what I'm good at. Smaller office. Now I have like 2 or 3 employees. And, I see a lot less patients and I do everything by myself. And now I can say I literally love my job.
Aw.
Like
Mm.
when I go to work every day, I'm like, I look forward to it. I'm so happy. So, so happy.
So
It
when you,
makes me happy to hear you
I
say
know,
that.
Yeah.
like you don't hear a lot of physicians saying that
No,
right
I
now.
love my job. Yeah.
Did you read any books? Because it sounded like it's, like start with the end in mind, and then you say you kind of
Yeah.
work backwards. Are there any books that you read that got you through this, or just you just being wonderful? You talking, you're like your own cheerleader,
No,
your own pep
no,
talk.
yeah, no. I was just like, this is not it. And I'm not gonna do this. That's it. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to because I already went to we did the hard work already, right?
Yeah.
So the life I live now is my choice. And it's
Mm.
not about just being a doctor because that's not the only thing that defines me, right? Like I'm somebody's sister, I'm somebody's, auntie, like I have other relationships.
Yep.
And although I super love my job, I wanted to make sure that I explored all of those other aspects of my life because I didn't want after like 20 years, like, are people going to remember me that I'm a dermatologist? Probably not. But
No.
is my niece, I don't have any kids, but is my niece, my brother, oh yeah, Achiamah was like a great sister. She spent time, she took time. That's what I want people to remember. Not
Mm.
necessarily the medicine is important, but I felt like the close relationships that I have developed over the years, I wanted to make sure that I nurture those. And then also the close relationship with myself, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I want to take time for myself too,
Mm.
Yeah. So
That
That
was
is a
deep.
very, very yeah. That's what I was about to say.
I feel like we were
She
in a
came
life
to us like,
conference. Okay, wait.
Tommy, you got right into it. We're not playing
I'm
around.
saying,
You hit us with some wisdom. No, that is awesome. I mean, you're the first person who, I mean, again, of all the people we've interviewed, you're the first person who's come at it from that approach. But it really is an inside out approach.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a principle based approach of what's gonna work for you.
So after over the years developing the clarity on how she wants to work and how she wants to practice, she actually took it one step further and gave it a name for how she came to terms with how she wants to work. And she calls it normalizing underachievement. I believe it's brilliant, and you may be able to implement these philosophies to better improve your mental health and your overall success in your private practice.
Because I think sometimes you guys as doctors, you guys are high achievers. You had the highest test scores. You were number one, A's, blah blah blah, and that desire to always be better, do more, be better, do more, can oftentimes get you in a situation where you can get what you asked for and not really want it.
I always say normalize underachieving. Like
Mm.
normalize that because we already did the overachieving, right?
Yep.
And I feel like as long as you have identified what your goals are and what you are willing to do to achieve those goals, then great, right? Like we can all have the multiple practices and make millions and millions of
Mm-hmm.
dollars.
Mm-hmm.
If that for you is good, then amazing, great, do it, right? But I
Yeah,
just know that I'm not willing to do that work. I'm so sorry. Yeah,
absolutely.
no. So, and I
and
mean, I'm satisfied. I mean, I can go where I want. I can do what I need
right,
to do. I can make my investments. But like, do I need that extra thing? No, I don't.
right,
I don't.
right.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on what you just said in regards to, people chasing the different things, you found kind of a sweet spot where you do have multiple locations. Talk to me about the different communities that your two different locations serve. And do you have a different specialty or this different demographic in each of these two locations? And just how do you approach these different places?
So we've all seen people who have gotten caught up in the trap of thinking that more is better. They got an office space that was too big. They bought equipment that they didn't use. They did all of these different things because that's what everybody else was doing. Dr. Osei-Tutu has a very interesting framework on how she gets more done with less. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, I mean, I started off in Brooklyn, and then I went to Long Island, which I spent the majority. Like Long Island is a suburb of New York, and I spent the majority of my time in practice there. So it was like 10 years. And so after the pandemic, I was like, because I live in Brooklyn, I was like, I'm tired of driving. So I just came back to Brooklyn full time, and my patients in Long Island, they were making the journey anywhere from like 45 minutes to 2 hours coming to Brooklyn, and they were like, I'm tired. Like, I don't want to keep coming here. And I was like, bet. So then and then I just opened up a small, little tiny office,
Mm,
like 2 rooms,
mm,
2 chairs in the waiting room. Cause when you come in,
yep.
when you get in, you go in. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want you sitting there. And then
Yeah.
that's it. So it's been like a nice happy medium, it's just like 1,000 square feet. And I make the
Yeah.
best out of it, And then my
Yeah.
Brooklyn office is also small, but I have like 2 or 3 rooms there. I have a salon. I have a stylist there. And there's probably like 6 or 7, chairs in the waiting room. And I do try to like get them in and out. But again, I don't see like 40 patients a day,
Mhm.
I'm seeing maximum maybe 20 on like 225 on a really busy day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It does seem like, because we've kind of adopted a similar philosophy that less is more in regards
100%.
to
Yeah.
space,
Yes.
in regards to staff. Like, you can get a lot more done. What are your thoughts on that, love? Because I know we're small, then we expanded, and then
We're
we
shrunk back
kind of
again.
shrunk back down again.
I think you're just happier. You're not rushing. Staff is happier. The waiting room is not crowded. It's I think seeing 40 patients. I know some derms are great at it. Some people can do
I know.
60, 65,
That's right.
70. For
Yeah.
my mental health and just being able to be a nice human being before and after work, I just couldn't
Yes.
do it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I do have two virtual assistants working at home which has been super helpful,
Mm-hmm.
because they're always there. They're overseas, but they're always at work. So
Yeah.
if for some reason, which has happened a few times in the past, where somebody didn't come in, because sometimes I only have one person working. They do the front desk, and then they're, maybe setting up for my procedures as well, and then they're
Hmm.
like queuing up my notes. So if for some reason they don't come in, my at home staff, they will take payments. I'll just text them and say, hey, this is how much that, they'll do all that
Yeah.
stuff. So I don't really need somebody in the office. Like, that's how I set things up. So if somebody doesn't come in, I can still operate my practice very efficiently.
So as I'm listening to Dr. Osei-Tutu explain how she gets more done with less space, with less staff, I was interested, how does she do this? And my wife asked a great question where she explains how she actually gets more done with less. Listen up.
So what is your
Yeah,
office
we're gonna
staff
have to.
comprised of? So you have a front desk who's are there an MA? Do they bring patients in, scribe for
Yep,
you?
there's two people who are like, they can do MA and back room, and then I have just one front desk person, and then two people working from overseas,
Okay.
Mm,
doing like all of the prior auth, getting biopsies, uploading them to the charts, all the things, setting up appointments, appointment confirmations, like, yeah, anything like clerical. So actually, when my staff checking, we use Clara, patient portal. They check
mm,
Clara. They will let me know if I have messages. So really, the focus of my staff in the office is really just patients. I try
Mhm.
not to let them do anything clerical. They really shouldn't be picking up the phone. They should just be focused on the people in the office,
Patient.
writing,
mm,
sending the prescriptions, sending instructions to patients, things like that.
mm. What I know you mentioned Clara. Outside of your EHR, are there any other software systems that you feel like is like foundational to your day-to-day practice? Are you incorporating AI in any kind of way?
No, I haven't. I
What's your
use
approach
Weave
to
and
technology?
Clara. Weave is, you've heard of Weave, right? Have you heard
Mhm.
of Weave? Yeah. So, I
I
mean,
haven't.
yeah, so Weave is like a voice over IP system. It's our phone system, and you can
Oh,
also
oh yeah.
text. You can use, you can send people links to do Google reviews. You can even take
Mhm.
payments on that. But yeah, I
Mm.
mean, we basically use it for like texting, chatting. So all of my staff have access to Weave. They have access to Clara. But yeah, so that's basically, as long as I can communicate with them. And some of these services are getting extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
and they continue to raise their prices. But yeah, as long as I can communicate with my patients, have an avenue where they can, see their labs, I can upload their labs, and they can send me pictures if they have an issue with either a side effect of the medication or another new problem. Then I'm good to go. And so far, Clara seems to be good. But I'm always open to looking for other things.
Support for the Derm Biz Show comes from EZDerm. If you're a dermatologist or part of a dermatology practice, you know how critical it is to have tools that make your workflow seamless. EZDerm is revolutionizing dermatology with its intuitive EHR solutions, designed specifically to simplify your practice operations and give you more time to focus on patient care. Their system isn't just easy to use, it's built with dermatologists in mind, making it the perfect choice for practices looking to streamline and grow. Want to learn more? Head over to EZDerm.com to see how they can help you elevate your practice to the next level. And here's a little insider tip. Tell them the Derm Biz Show sent you. Also, before we jump back in, here's a quick reminder to make sure you're connected with us on all of our other social media platforms. We share other content on those platforms that's going to help you grow and build your private practice. We believe that we need more doctors in leadership positions in private practice ownership, and we believe that our content is going to help you get to where you need to go. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on all those platforms. All right, thanks for listening, and another big shout out to EZDerm. Now let's get back to the show.
So it was Dr. Osei-Tutu's choice to build a practice where she wore multiple hats and where she was able to keep her payroll down. And she just liked to be involved in different things. She has a great sense of humor about how she feels all of those different roles. Take a listen to this.
So you're like
Okay.
your own
Okay.
HR. You're doing your own payroll. You're doing your own office staff
So
scheduling.
I'll tell you something. The running joke in my office is like, when somebody has a problem, like, I want to speak to HR, I'll be like, yes, can I help you?
I can't
I'll
wait
just
to
like
do that.
bend
I
down and
haven't
be like,
gotten a chance to do that
HR
yet.
here.
You just like take the
It's like,
glasses
Yeah,
off.
yeah, exactly. I want to
HR
speak to
here.
the office manager. Yes, how can I help you? I am every woman. How can I help you today?
Mm.
I love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. Another question I have is, and again, love, let me know. Jump in whenever you got a question. How did you make that transition
Yes.
from taking insurance to all cash pay?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a dream of so many people. It's like, oh, you're looking at other people doing it, and you're like, maybe one day we could.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
I think it was a perfect storm. My lease was up. It was a pandemic. I was redoing my office in Brooklyn. I was renovating it, and I just felt like I needed a fresh start. And I had built up a pretty good hair loss practice, and it just wasn't working with insurance. Actually, some of the claims are just being denied when you
Mm.
put
Mm,
alopecia as a primary diagnosis. And so, I was out of an office for like 6 months. I was working out of my friend's plastic surgery office, which is like a total. That was great, but the transition of getting people to come to the city from Long Island and Brooklyn, it was very challenging. And I had
mm,
challenging staff. I had issues with staff at that period of time. So it was actually a very, very difficult time for me. And at this thought, because I was sort of out of sorts for a while, it was good when I restarted, just to let people know that I was no longer going to be taking insurance. So yeah. And I think I had started to mention it because I started dropping insurances when I was in my Long Island office. So I feel like I was down to like 3 or 4 insurances. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I transitioned to basically being in Brooklyn only and reopening the office, I'd mention to patients that I won't be taking insurance anymore.
And how did they respond? How did patients respond to that?
I mean, I think, some people were not happy, and I helped them find other dermatologists, and even wrote the other dermatologist name on my website. That was one of the reasons why I came up with Black Derm Directory, actually. And if they
Mm.
called, I'm happy to like send them to people. And I was like, I have so many names. Why don't I just put
Yeah.
it on the website? Yeah. And then some people, they stayed, and then I got new people coming. So yeah, it's worked out.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's worked out good.
Um, and so I guess the next follow-up question I have, because the mentality to do that, right? It seems like sometimes in the medical space, or maybe even in the derm space, that there is, with so many high achievers, that there's this level of competitiveness that people may have.
Hmm.
And the fact that you were willing to not only refer your patients to other dermatologists who could quote unquote be looked as your competition, but you actually created a whole website and, and got as many people who, again, could be quote unquote considered as your competition and advertise for them.
Yeah, it's
Like,
amazing.
that is not common. Like, talk to me about what place were you coming from? Obviously, you have very much more of a collaborative spirit than a
Hmm.
than a competitive spirit with your colleagues.
I mean, I think I come from a family of, a few, a lot of physicians, right, from different specialties. And so it's always been collaborative, right? And I'm not here as a doctor for myself. Like, I
Mm,
mean, I'm here for patients. Literally, the only reason why I exist is for patients. Otherwise, we have no
mm,
job, right? And so
mm,
if I cannot help you, if you have come to me, I feel like it's my responsibility to send you to
Hmm.
somebody who can help you.
mm,
And there are amazing dermatologists everywhere. Just some people don't happen not to know about them. The other
Yeah.
big problem that we have is dermatologist availability,
Hmm.
right? People only know the one or two other people that people refer them to, but they don't know that, okay, maybe if I just go to New Jersey, maybe I can't get an appointment with the people in New York, but maybe if I go to New Jersey. And now
mm.
we're dealing, and we're always telling people, come in early. Early diagnosis is key. But who are we talking about?
Dr. Osei-Tutu is the founder of Black Derm Directory, and they have a mission to provide dermatological care with people who are seeking the expertise of somebody who has an experience with treating skin of color. This is something that she does as a side project just because she's passionate about making sure that people get the care that they need. Take a listen to this.
I'm friends with so many wonderful derms. Why wouldn't I refer them? And I know they do phenomenal work that I would go to them myself. So why would I keep that to myself? I just
Hmm.
don't think that it makes any sense. And I just happen to, but a lot of all of our colleagues have names. Okay, if you're in New York, you go here. It just so happened that I put it on the website, but any of us could have done that, right? And there is
Mm.
no competition when you're dealing with such a small field, and particularly with Black dermatologists is 3%. Like,
Yeah.
what competition? No. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I use that website. I mean, I since I left my Chicago practice, I use that website. I'm like, look here, people from Atlanta on social media. I'm like, go on, and I just even do it for them because even sometimes I like to do it and see where
Yep.
people are, and then I
Yep.
email it to them. But that's a fantastic. I mean, it has helped so many patients.
Well, that makes
Skin of
me
Absolutely.
color.
very
It's amazing.
happy.
I still used it last week. Someone texted me, is there a great dermatologist in Atlanta or DMV? I said, here you go.
I'm so happy. I was telling Tony that before we came on that a patient, actually it happens all the time. We asked them like, how did you come here? They're like, oh yeah, I use this website called Black Derm Directory. I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, because love, I asked her, like, is this a secret that you're the owner and founder of Black Derm Directory? Because even in her bio, it was no information
I
there.
think
It
initially
was
it
just
wasn't, but now I think it's gotten. I don't know. Initially, everyone knows, but I don't know about like the younger derms if they know who's doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as long as people are using it, and I have to actually, I'm looking for an intern to like. It needs to be constantly updated. So that's
Mhm, mhm.
another like project of mine this year. I'm looking for an intern to update it. But I am super happy that people use that. We have another directory called Docs for Hair, where we put derms on there who focus specifically on hair loss. Derms learn about hair loss, but of course, not all of us are super passionate about it. So yeah, so that's the other thing, which I feel like has been also helpful for people too. So yeah, I don't even think of the word competition. I think it's just like not helpful, particularly to the reason why we're doing this, which is for patients. So yeah, it's been good.
So the
Absolutely. I mean,
question, go ahead.
no, go ahead, love. Go ahead. I was going to say that's just a credit to your level of humility, and it's just refreshing. And so, thank you for
Thank
creating that.
you.
That's been a huge
It
resource for
has.
us.
Thank
You
you.
saved us a tremendous amount of man hour and time
Good.
searching and
Good.
researching and contacting places. So, thank you for that.
And I appreciate the feedback because it sort of, sometimes we get so busy doing other things. It reminds me to just continue to make it a priority and continue to update it. And sometimes I'm updating it myself. Like on a Saturday, I'm like, looking up doctors or looking on social media to see like who started a practice. So thank you for that. I will, continue.
Yes, please. Because as Black derms, if you're not going to all the meetings and we all have different things that interest us,
Yes,
like there's a lot that I don't even know.
that's right.
So it
Absolutely.
also helps to create a even tighter community.
That's right.
So I
Exactly.
enjoy like doing the research myself. When patient asks me, I don't even tell them to go, and I was like, "Let me do it for you," because I'm like, it helps me learn too.
Yes,
Other Black
absolutely.
derms. So no, it's been
Yes.
fantastic
Good,
for
good.
my
Thank you.
patients.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and even social media. So the question I have is, how is it going back between like being a physician and then putting on your business hat? Because I'm a little spoiled. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I get to see patients. When patient asks who's the HR because they're pissed, I'm like, talk to this guy.
Right,
I'm the
right,
nice
right.
one. When staff's upset, I'm like, go talk to this
Right,
guy.
right.
So I'm a little spoiled in that sense because I would say he does all my dirty work for
Yeah.
me. In a sense, like, how do you manage those roles and like, or do you ever separate them, or is it always you're always both every
No,
single
I'm
time?
always having to be, yeah, like I said, when I say I'm every woman, I am every woman. But I made my practice small enough that it's manageable for me, right? Like
Mm.
really setting those goals and things that make me comfortable. Like I can handle being all those things to 3 people in the office. It's not that bad,
Yeah.
right? And then the people online, they have their own company that manages them. And then, of
Yeah.
course, we have our meetings and we talk about like what some of the goals are and correct them. But I honestly, like doing it this way has made me a completely different person. I'm happier.
Mhm.
I'm a lot less, you know, you know, and unfortunately, I just wish I would have learned what my limits were a long time ago. Because I feel
Mm.
like I could have spent, the last whatever, how long have I been doing this since 2010, right? I would have spent the last 10, 15 years like just being a happier doctor and not trying to do the things that other people tell you
Mm-hmm.
like are going to make you happy in a
Yep.
practice, having a big practice with this many people and doing these kinds of procedures, knowing that that is not me, And so once I whittled all that stuff down and I'm doing things that are authentically me and handling people, and it's not always perfect. I'm not saying that it's
Yeah.
perfect. And of course, you have issues with people and you're having to
Mhm.
correct them. But I do find that my staff is happier and I'm happier.
Will you ever hire a partner?
Mm.
No,
Okay.
no.
How many days a week do you work right now?
It
No part.
depends on the week. Some days
Okay.
it's 3 days, sometimes it's 7 days because I may do like a test spot on a patient when I'm like
Mm-hmm.
training staff, for hair transplant. Um, if I feel like it, I'll work every day and then I'll take a week off. I speak a lot,
Yeah.
internationally. So, maybe I'm at a conference, for a week or two. And of course, in private practice, if you don't work, you don't,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll have to like double up or, sometimes I want to take the day off. So yeah, it kind of just depends on the week.
So does your front staff also work with you when you do your surgeries? You've kind of trained them.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Actually,
wow.
there's 3 people. One of them is strictly just front desk, and then the other 2, no, they know how to do like the FUE. They know how to do some of the not all the details of their
Yeah.
transplant. They can set up every single procedure.
Okay.
Actually, somebody came in with somebody came with a rash, and they're like, what's going on here? Rashes. We don't see.
You're like, wait, what?
Wait.
Again?
I'm like,
Oh,
ma'am, this is actually
look at this.
dermatology.
But I think that
Oh
speaks to
my
what
God.
you said earlier. One thing you said in your pre-check questions in regards to
That's right.
finding your
Yes.
passion,
Yes.
finding the area. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that? Because you talked about finding your passion point, and it seems like for you,
Yes.
hair restoration is your passion point, and you just went very deep into that. Where it seems like it's always this siren song to do
Yeah.
everything and to because dermatology
Yes.
encompasses so many things, you can do
Absolutely.
4, 5, 6, 7 different things. Talk to me about your
Well,
approach
like I
to that.
said, I have to be passionate about the subject matter in order to be inspired to continue to learn about it, right? And so
Mm,
I found that hair loss was the passion point. And around hair loss, there are a number of different issues that you need to
Mm-hmm.
sort of explore, right? You can't just treat somebody medically. You have to know about hair care. That's one point. You
mm,
can't just treat them medically. You have to know about how to restore their hair. Once you calm things down, how do you get the hair back? Do you do it surgically or non-surgically? That's a whole nother subject matter that have their own conferences, their own
mm,
lecture series, right? Like, how do you treat them
mm,
surgically? That's a whole nother thing. So I find that it's a completely different world that is very nuanced and has a lot of details.
Mm-hmm.
All of the medications that we use to treat hair loss cuts across a lot of genres. It
Mm-hmm.
cuts across weight loss management. It
mm,
cuts across, diabetes. It cuts across immunologic therapy. So I am, you still have your hand in multiple avenues. I don't see as many kids as I used to, but I was still able to see a lot of children. I still get to do a ton of procedures, some similar things that we would do for the face, but I really am sort of focused on hair. So I'm able to do things that I love, and still, like, I was just preparing for a lecture that I did for a conference, and I was reading about immunology stuff that I remember learning about that I was so excited about, when I was in medical school. So the themes continue to carry.
So here, Dr. Mercy and Dr. Osei-Tutu talk about finding your passion inside medicine. And they believe that your passion actually finds you. Take a listen.
Yeah, it's like what you love kind of just
absolutely.
finds you. And I
That's right.
think that like the more you do it, because for me it's like you said, like Rush, I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, you don't have anything for me to cut. Like
Right, exactly.
I'm like, oh, okay,
Right.
let me go back to my textbook.
That's right. Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Same thing. Yeah.
Dr. Achama, if you are sitting down with somebody who is starting their own medical practice, they're dermatology, they just finished residency, or maybe they've been working for a few years and they want to start their own dermatology practice. What are some do's and some don'ts that you're giving them? What are some things that you're saying that you definitely want to think about doing these things? And these are some things that you definitely want to
Yeah.
stay
I mean,
away
I
from.
think I would first tell them to have a conversation with themselves and decide, like, what are some of the important things. What are the things that in their lives that are important to them with respect to their own definitions of success, like family now, and if they can project a little bit in the future, what's going to be important to them in the future. And then, like I did for myself,
Mm,
once I established that, then I work my way backwards. With the understanding that if you have a very
mm,
lofty goal of having, a 10 office practice with, it requires a lot from you. And
mhm.
are you willing to put in the work
mm,
for that to happen without making yourself quote unquote crazy or burn out, quickly? So that's one very, very important conversation. The next thing I say is start small. There's no reason for me to
mm,
to start out with, 4,000 square feet, 10 rooms.
Mhm.
Start small. Decide what you even like. Do you like doing skin checks? Do you like doing, cosmetic aesthetic medicine? Decide on that, right? Decide on what kind of dermatology that you want to practice, what things that you want to focus on. Decide on who's coming to you, what problems are coming into your office, right? That will, I think, help guide you on how to expand. Do I need to hire an esthetician? Do I need to
mm,
hire a nurse practitioner, depending on, like, the kinds of problems that I'm seeing? Do most of the issues that I'm seeing or that I'm passionate about require me? like to do most of the work.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then also determine like the type of office that you want to have, right? Do I want a lot of patients? I mean, a lot of staff? Do I want a little bit of staff? Who am I going to hire to sort of take care of those issues? Those kinds of things. But I always say like start small, like feel things out, and you may hate private practice. Like I know some people do. They're like, I don't want to do this. I just want to work for somebody, And then you have a 10-year
Mhm.
lease, with big staff that you have to kind of let go of. And you bought all of these devices, which is another bane of my existence. I've been there, done that experiment. You don't need to follow suit, right? Like, really figure out the type of devices that are going to make you money. It's not that you get them and they'll come. No.
No.
What is it that you right? Yes, they're in
Mm,
my garage, right? So find the things that are going to be
mm,
your workhorses, common problems that you like treating that people come in for.
Mhm.
Once you get the revenue from that, then you can start doing small niche things. But also you're taking an inventory and stock of things that your patients are interested in doing.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I want to ask both of you all a question. I'm sitting here and I'm talking to two brilliant, beautiful, well accomplished women in the dermatology field. And the question I have for you two is, what challenges are unique to you as women, to you as Black women, that you've had to overcome and that you've had to address, owning and running your own private practice? And what advice would you give to other women who may experience some of those same things?
I mean, I don't think that I've had any like extra challenges. I mean, I've seen my mom and uncles and things like that. Other family members run private practices, so I've seen some of the things that they've gone through. I mean, I have served a primarily Afro-Caribbean neighborhood in Flatbush, Brooklyn, near downstate. And so I find that and the opposite, like people are really excited to see somebody that like looks like them. Um,
It's like
yeah, which has
it's an
been,
advantage.
like a joy for me. So I don't think I've had any like specific challenges per se as a Black woman. I like my corner of the world in Brooklyn. I get to eat my beef patties and cocoa bread and like get my African
Yeah,
food.
yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't say that there's anything. I'm just like practice challenges. Some of the things that we've talked about before, but
Mhm,
I think people, by the grace of God, have been very lovely to me. I've had lovely experiences with patients.
mm,
I've had lovely experiences with my colleagues. I just feel like I could have done things better
mm,
with my staff in the past.
Mm.
Been more patient,
mm,
like acquired better skills, and I said it before, like people skills, and then also like knowing my limitations, because oftentimes when you're frustrated, you may take out your frustrations in the wrong way, and I feel like that's what I have been guilty of. And so yeah, I mean,
mm,
my mom being, my mentor, my mom, and my corrector, who has seen me go down some of these paths and has been very critical of some of the way that I've handled things, as I have had some like tough conversations with me where I've had to be like, yeah, yeah, like that. Obviously, you recognize them yourself, but
Mhm. Mhm.
seeing somebody also making those suggestions. So yeah, but not anything I feel like has been out of the ordinary. Besides the challenges that I had in the beginning, just like insurance companies and rejections and all that stuff.
mm.
I have loved this journey, loved, and really love the way that I practice medicine right now.
I love that
Yeah.
joy. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
That no, for me, I think it's been a lot. Because I actually practice in a predominantly white,
Yes.
population, and most of it has been great. But I think one thing that it's helped me with is being able to connect with a stranger very quickly. Because a
Yes.
lot of my patients, I meet them on the day of surgery. So imagine this complete stranger who looks
Ah,
like someone you've never met before is taking a
yes.
scalpel to your face.
Yes.
So within like the first like 10 seconds, I got to get it right, like
That's right.
very quickly. So no one taught me, but I had to learn very quickly how to make people comfortable around me.
Right.
Um, and sometimes too, just having to prove myself. When I first started, I felt
Mhm.
like I was always trying to prove myself. I looked young.
Mhm.
I was Black, I was a woman. And patients
That's
would say a
right.
few things that I felt like if I was a male physician, you wouldn't say that to me.
Right.
Um, so that was a little bit hard, but now I'm at the point, and you're there. If we don't get along as physician and patient, you could go. Like like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not
Exactly.
everyone is going to be for you. The people that are for you will
Absolutely.
love you no matter
Yeah.
what. And
Yes.
so once you're in kind of in control of your environment, it's a very easy. It's very
I
easy.
agree.
But I think as women in business, we are very good at multitasking.
Yes.
Um, and patients also sometimes love a female physician because we're more nurturing or more empathetic. I think
Right.
Tony, you said
Yes.
that. Um, I think here and there you meet a few patients that I'm like, if I was a male, you wouldn't say that. If I was white, you wouldn't
Hmm.
say that. But
Hmm.
overall, people are kind. I tend to try to see the good in most people and
Yeah.
believe that everyone is good until proven
Yes.
otherwise.
Yes.
People may have questions, which is different, and I'm open to answering those questions. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like most people are good, and I've had a lot of great experiences. And if I didn't, I usually try to use it as a teaching moment for patients.
Exactly. Exactly. We often forget that, we're people, right? We're people. At the other end are people.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, the difference between you and me maybe is I have a little bit more education in this one particular topic, but you are allowed to challenge me. You are allowed to
Hmm.
say, I always say, like, patients are like, I don't want to take these medications. I'm like, no problem. It's not an issue. I don't want you to take them either, right? So here are some, instead of just, sometimes, doctors may get egos because you feel like,
Mhm.
okay, why aren't they, sort of taking to what I'm telling them? But people are allowed to decline your offer,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Even if they took the time to come and see you,
Mhm.
they're allowed to decline your offer. And particularly, I think in hair loss, whether they're Black or white or Asian, people just want somebody who's going to listen to them and
Yep.
just treat them. Like it doesn't matter, I think, for the most part on the other end, like what you look like. And I mean, in my Long Island office, it was a predominantly white area, but I grew up in a predominantly white area. I went to school in predominantly white school. So I don't actually really think of things like that. I'm just
Mhm.
like, you're a person, I'm a person, can I help you? If I can't help you and you don't necessarily like me, here's the number of the next, greatest person next to me. I'm never offended unless you talk about my grandmother. You can never offend me, can never offend me. If you call me names, it just does not
Yeah.
bother me. Yeah, I'm just like that. You can call me that, and nothing bothers me. Again, as long as you do not talk about Janet Achampong, we are good money.
We're
We
good. We're good to
can,
It's
go.
funny you said that. I would joke. I was like, if you grew up in an African household, it's not much people outside of your household can say to you that would
I'm
like.
telling you.
I'm like,
I'm
okay,
telling
my
you.
mom has called me worse than that.
Exactly. Nothing you say bothers me. So it's all peace, it's all love. And, and of course, when somebody is upset about something, I'm of course going to try to diffuse the situation. I don't want anybody leaving my office in an upset
Mhm.
manner. And sometimes it's my fault and sometimes it's my staff's fault. And I'm very ready to be like, yeah, it was our fault. We did this the wrong way and I apologize. And, I think that's also like a very, very important thing, whether you're dealing with any person of any color or creed,
Mhm.
just making sure that you're willing to you know own up to the mistakes that you made,
Yep.
whether it be a staff mistake or a doctor mistake as well. So
Oh no,
okay.
hold on. Oh, it might be one of your rapid fire. So looking ahead into like the practice of medicine, people are talking about medicine is changing, insurances. I mean, it doesn't apply to you. What do you see as like the biggest opportunities or like challenges in the world of dermatology, or even in private, probably most likely in private practice? I think
Well,
one, most people might be going into cash pay. I don't
yeah.
know if you have other thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously there's a lot of private equity, shenanigans happening. Shenanigans, I mean that in the kindest of ways. I think, let's whittle this down all the way. People just want a doctor to take care of them
Yep.
in a
Yep.
way where they feel caring. That's it. And doctors want to practice and not get burnt out. So I think people will figure out the best models that work for them. There are shifts that happen all the time, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
the big models worked at some point, and now we're shifting to people like getting smaller practices and doing more cash pay. And when that doesn't work, people will figure out a better way. But I think at the core of it, people just want to be connected to a good doctor, and doctors just want to have practices where they don't get burnt out.
No, I agree. I agree. And it's funny you said that I think in the last question, when you answered the last question, people just want someone to listen to them.
That's right. That's it.
At the end of the day.
That's it. Yeah.
So let me hop into some of these rapid fire questions. So what is your go-to stress relief after a long day of work?
Plantain.
Did you say plantain?
Mercy gets it.
At first, I thought she said plantain. I was like, no. She said plantains.
No. So before it was fried sweet plantain, but now I have to put it in the freaking air fryer. So it's air fried.
It don't taste the same.
They do, sis. It's the same. It's mental. It's mental. I believe that it tastes the same.
Where's the oil? The oil.
It's dry, but it's the same.
So what is your next question. What is your must-have skincare product? Like you're gotta have it. You're going on a trip. If you're this is your
Tazerac.
You can't live without this.
Tazerac gel.
Okay.
I know I was supposed to say sunscreen.
All right.
No.
All right.
I said I know.
What did you say about sunscreen?
But no.
We're gonna keep it real. We're gonna keep it real. I mean,
it's a type
black
of
it's a type of retinol. Yes.
That will fix. That will fix whatever the sun. I'm the same. Like people like.
I'm just, yeah. We're gonna have a separate off-screen conversation about sunscreen. But keep going.
Yeah. Because is there any white papers out there that confirm that black
crack? It cracks. It cracks, yeah.
Black does crack. Okay, that wasn't one of my questions, but we mentioned sunscreen. I just had to ask that question. What's your strategy for staying connected with friends and family despite your hectic
that's
work
easy.
schedule?
I mean, I have a very close family. Like we have a family chat group, and so everybody's birthday. My mom is in charge of it, so she remembers everybody's birthday. She'll put their names. She'll do this long prayer for them, and then everybody will chime in. Hello.
If it ain't gonna be nothing else, it's gonna be a prayer.
And then everybody chimes in as their prayers. So yeah, we're connected. And then my one cousin who's like a sister to me, we just breathe on the phone together. Like we're doing our work and we're just kind of breathing. So I actually work with her at my Long Island office. She's family medicine, lifestyle, and obesity medicine. So she works there on the days that I'm not there, but sometimes we're there together. So
okay,
yeah.
For men out there, I know you're dealing with hair loss. What can we do to keep our hair? How do we keep our hair?
I think that's a very complicated problem because, there's a lot of undiagnosed inflammatory scalp disease in men. I mean, a lot of times they think it's just male pattern hair loss, but I think when men start to lose their hair and if there's any symptoms of like itching, they need to go see a dermatologist. I think that's one thing people don't do. I'm seeing a lot of men who have gone to Turkey and have had hair transplants and they've failed because they had underlying scalp disease. So I don't think that we should sort of let that go. And there have been some papers to show that they can live together. Of course, because the main inflammatory scalp disease that we tend to see in Black people, I'm just going to shorten, it's called CCCA. It happens in the center of the scalp. When you lose your hair as a man, it happens in the center of the scalp. So they live together.
Yeah, we would just.
That's me. That's what we have in life.
You see? Exactly.
So she been working.
It's all the time.
No.
But the problem is, there may be some doctors who are not aware of it, and so they transplant those areas, and the grafts end up failing. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm seeing. Yeah, and even in women too, because that same disease can happen on the hairline that looks like traction alopecia, but really there's inflammation going on there. So I think the biggest thing for men and women, if you're experiencing hair loss and you're thinking about doing something surgical and non-surgical, go to a dermatologist and get a diagnosis before you go and spend your money on any of these procedures.
What are your thoughts?
Yes.
And you can be as honest as you like. What are you guys' thoughts on skin influence?
Like
it seems like there is a multiple influences. Yes, skin influences. People who specialize in skin, who are on Instagram, TikTok, all this kind of stuff. It seems like they're all over the place. What do you guys' thoughts on them? Are they a benefit to the practice? I mean, to the profession? Are they creating more recognition and causing more people to maybe want to come see a dermatologist? Are they giving people misinformation? What are you guys' thoughts?
I would say there's two ways. I think one, I don't like talking about skincare. I don't want to spend 15 minutes talking about a whole skincare routine for you. I'm sorry. Like, I just don't. But I think also too, they've kind of diminished the science behind skincare, and the products are so overwhelming. And for some reason, since COVID, everyone is becoming a skincare expert.
That's right.
Like, and the lay people, like the general population, cannot decipher what's what. You know, you're slapping 10 different things on your skin, and sometimes they get whatever cleanser you want. I don't even care what you put on. Just wash your face. Get a good retinol, redden something. Put it on. Wear your sunscreen. Blah blah blah. But I think they've made our jobs easier, but they've also made it more complicated.
Yeah.
You know, I get teenagers that come in with what I call TikTok dermatology. I'm like, okay, we have TikTok dermatology now.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
And I'm like, this is from Korea. I'm sure it's great. I can't even read. I don't even know what these ingredients are. Like, I can't even help you. So it's made our jobs a little bit easier in a way, because patients come in already knowing what they want in some sense, but also complicated things, because I'm seeing a lot of rashes. I'm seeing a lot of like side
That's
effects, burns, and people don't understand how certain ingredients interact with each other or in the sun, or you can't do a chemical peel and then put this on after. It's created a mess. So I just want to just do surgeries, you know.
Well, I think, you know, a lot of this comes down to like marketing, you know. Many of the skin influencers, I'm not saying all of them, tend to be marketing products from particular companies. And so it's a great way for companies to get their name out there, right? Before, I think we used to be the gatekeepers of all of these skincare products, right? And so people, you know, you'd have to go to a dermatologist in order to get them, in order to even know about them. And unfortunately, not everybody has access to a dermatologist, right? And not everybody has access to a dermatologist at all the time. Sometimes it's 3:00 in the morning. You have to go, you have to be at work, and you want to figure out like what to do with your skin. So on one hand, I think it can be helpful because it can give people a little bit of guidance. But unfortunately, if you're not a dermatologist, and like Mercy said, you don't understand the nuances of skincare, the combinations of ingredients that you need to put together. And number one, what is your diagnosis?
Yeah, what are you treating?
Like, what are we treating? Like, sometimes people have great skin. They don't need anything but, like she said, a wash, a moisturizer, and just some sunscreen. But you're putting things on your skin because somebody else told you to do it. I think that part of it can be a detriment. Product knowledge is good, but I think there is too much products on the market.
It's overwhelming.
And it's overwhelming. And there is no magic bullet. There is no magic bullet. You know, a lot of it is your genetics, of course, plus what you're doing to yourself internally. And then also the products that you're using in your skin. But there have been some studied products, retinols, sunscreens, you know, maybe some peptides and some other things. But there's data associated with them. And all of these other things are derivations of those put together. So companies will come up with this peptide and that peptide, but it's nothing new on the horizon. It's nothing new. It's all maybe put together a little bit differently. So I think in some respects it's good, but in, like Mercy said, in other respects, it can just be very confusing. And as dermatologists, we have to then synthesize all of that information.
Yeah. My final question is, you know, as a dermatologist who owns your own private practice, you're a doctor, but you're equally an entrepreneur. You know, you're a doctor, but you're equally a CEO. As you're running your private practice and treating your patients, what do you see? What is your vision of this space, this private practice dermatology space, in the next 5 to 10 years? Is it like, do you see it being, you know, a growth and opportunity? Do you see it being something where it's going to get more difficult to operate and build? Like, just what are your personal thoughts from your corner of the world in
Yeah, I
Brooklyn?
mean,
What are you
I think I'm
seeing in that
gonna sort of
space?
base this on people coming to me and asking me for advice. I mean, a lot of young dermatologists want to open up their own practice. So I don't think that the mom and pop private practice is dead. I think it's always going to be a thing. Yeah, I think people always have their
Yeah.
vision of how they want to treat their patients. They may start out with a company and then they see, okay, well, I don't love the way that they do A, B, C, and D. And these are the ways that I feel like I can do it better. So I think people will continue. Doctors are, like you said, natural entrepreneurs. They naturally sort of want to perfect things, and particularly with dermatologists, because we have been held to a little bit of a higher standard as far as being accepted into some of these programs. No, private practice will always be there. The nature of how we practice medicine may change. I know particularly with dermatology and some of the cosmetic aspects of dermatology, other people are moving into the space. Your physician assistants, and your nurse practitioners and other things. But because of our numbers, that's what's going to happen. There are not enough of us to go
Yeah.
around, and so with that, it's a natural part of the market. I'm not going to wait 6, 7, 8 months for a dermatologist. I want the problem fixed now.
Mm-hmm.
And so who is going to
Mhm.
come in to fill the space? It's going to be people who have had less training, maybe taken a course or two, and may not have the exact, detailed information that we do. But that's the nature of the market. Unless we get more people in dermatology, or maybe those physician assistants and nurse practitioners are under the auspices of a dermatologist who's guiding them. They will continue to fill the space as well. Because you see, and I'm not hating at all, you see nurses and nurse practitioners opening up their own practices, doing a lot of the cosmetic stuff. They're not going to do the pemphigus. They're not going to see the pemphigus patients. They're going to do the Botox and the fillers. So there's obviously always going to be a space for us to do more of the more complicated derm stuff.
Dr. Achama,
You're
Thank
we
you so
so
much.
thank you.
welcome. It
Thank
was
you.
so
Yeah,
much
we had
For taking
fun.
the
fun.
time. This was so
Yes.
much fun. I learned so much from you. Is there, and I'm just thinking about how you say you kind of operate your own corner of the world. Is there any social media that we want to promote? Where can people find
I'm not.
you? No,
She says no, but she's on
I
you're
social
mean,
like,
media.
don't,
like,
don't
She's
no,
miss
on
I'm
me.
social.
not. I'm not. What I try to do on my personal social media is just show people that they can get better with their hair loss, right? Like I'll show a before and after,
Mhm.
and then if people usually after I post it before and after, they're like, "Can I make an appointment with you?" First thing I say is, "Where do you live?" When they say they live here, I say, "Go see this person."
Yeah,
They can do the same thing in your area,
yeah,
you know? But I think because hair loss can be so devastating, I just want people to know that sometimes even depending on how bad it is, they can still get better in some level. I don't promote my social media in any way. I'm not on there. I have nothing interesting to say. So if Black Derm Directory or Docs for Hair can be helpful to people, then I encourage them to go on the website to find a dermatologist local to them to sort of help to find their issues, help with their problems. And of course, over the next year, we're gonna be trying to expand it and sort of make it better. Dr. Meena Singh and I, who's another good friend and colleague of ours in Kansas City, we now run a course with Docs for Hair for dermatologists to learn about all things textured hair. So the styling, all the
Mhm.
non-surgical and surgical procedures that we do in the office. So we do that once a year. Our first year was last April, and we're doing another workshop this April 11th and 12th in her office.
That's amazing because you're also teaching people how to do
awesome.
transplants now, right?
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. Yep. So
That's
so
amazing. And so if you're in and around the New York area and you got
Oh,
some
you need a
hair
transplant.
issues,
You don't have to go
come
definitely,
to.
through.
definitely you need a transplant. Osei-Tutu
Yes,
Dermatology
we
and
love
Hair
to see you.
Restorations. You can look her up. We're
Thank
gonna put the
you.
website right here on the screen. You'll be able to see it. But thank you so much for
Thank
taking the
you for
time to
having me.
talk with us today.
Yes.
This was very, very enlightening. And as we said before
Thank
in the
you.
beginning of our conversation, you were one of the people who inspired us from the beginning. You were one of the first phone calls that Mercy made
Thank
that
you.
made us believe, and we were trying to get the
Oh,
vision
and
and the
look at you
belief
guys
that we could do
now. You guys
this.
are doing so
You
well.
gave
I'm so proud of you guys.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, just
Yeah.
like it's some struggles.
Trust. It's always going to be a struggle.
It's
Always,
some
always. But you
it's
guys
some
are doing great.
struggles, but
Yes, I know.
no,
I
we're
know.
very
Oh, for
thankful.
everybody.
like I said, you were one of the first people I called when I was going to open up my practice, and I truly appreciate that. And I'm thankful to you. And you've always been, I mean, every time I text, I'm like, I need something. Can you do this? You've always
I got
like
you.
picked up and texted
Absolutely.
back. So
Yes,
we
yes,
appreciate you.
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
guys.
Thank you.
That was a phenomenal interview with Dr. Osei-Tutu. Here are some of the key takeaways that I learned from Dr. Osei-Tutu's interview. Be careful buying equipment. Oftentimes, just because you buy the equipment doesn't mean that you're going to build the demand after the equipment is bought. You want to have the demand first before you buy the equipment. So focus your equipment purchases on your day-to-day workhorse. Start small. You don't need a big, huge practice to start off. You don't need a ton of staff. You don't need a ton of equipment. Start small and incrementally build from there. Decide what you like inside of your specialty. Yeah, you're doing dermatology, but is it a specific area of derm that you love? Maybe that will be your calling card, and that'll be what your brand is built around. But figure out what area of derm gives you the most passion and the most joy. Practice in a way that brings you joy. What are the procedures that you don't want to do? What kind of problems do you enjoy solving? What kind of area are you so interested in that you love to go to the conferences, you love to watch the videos on, you love to do more study and research on? Figure out how to practice inside of your joy. Normalize underachievement. It is okay to not have the biggest practice. It is okay to not offer every single service at your private practice. Figure out what your niche is, and oftentimes you'll find that doing less is more. Figure out what success is to you. What does success look like to you? How many days a week work is ideal for you? How much money do you need to be able to make? What is a number of staff that you would feel that you would enjoy managing? What is a number that you wouldn't enjoy managing? How many hours a week would you not want to work? How much time do you want to be involved in your kids' extracurricular activities? Figure out what you want and what success means to you. Don't operate off of somebody else's playbook, but find out what your success is. Once you discover what your success is, are you willing to pay the price? Whatever success that you want, there's going to be a corresponding price connected to that. If you want to have 10 clinics, you're going to have to pay a 10 clinic price. You want to have one clinic, you're going to have to pay a one clinic price. But either way, whatever you decide to do, however much money you decide to make, however much vacation you decide to be on, whatever you decide to do, there's going to be a corresponding price. And make sure that that's a price that you're not only willing to pay, but you're willing to pay long term. Decide what problems you want to solve. Figure out what problems are interesting to solve to you and maximize your time doing those things. So these are some of the key takeaways that I got from Dr. Osei-Tutu's interview. I hope this interview was as impactful to you as it was to me. Thank you again, Dr. Achiamah, for taking the time to share your wisdom with us. We had a blast, and we wish you continued success in your medical practice.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Derm Biz Show. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and packed with value to help you navigate the challenges of running your private practice. We'd love to hear from you. Is there a specific topic you'd like us to cover or a question you want answered? Reach out to us at thedermbiz@gmail.com or drop us a message on social media. Your input helps us tailor the show to what matters most to you and your practice. Speaking of social media, don't forget to follow us on all of our platforms for updates, bonus content, and tips to keep your practice running smoothly. And of course, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in today, and we can't wait to have you join us again the next time. Until then, take care, keep thriving, and we'll see you the next time on the Derm Biz Show.